All right, it is the Sports Mashup number 90, final one before Christmas, December 21st, 2022. We begin in the NBA. Steph Curry set to miss a few weeks with a quote bad left shoulder injury. I don't remember seeing the play that he got injured on, but I do remember watching him jog off the court. So probably not as bad as it looked that he's out a few weeks, but the Warriors are like not good with or without him. It seems like last night I watched them against the Knicks without him, and it was a blowout. I know the Knicks are playing well, but yeah, Jordan Poole at the one, not really working out that well. I don't really think it's Poole's fault, but it's not a very good team.
Yeah, there you tell there's something missing or not clicking with them.
Yeah, it's not good. Hey, Chris Paul graduate college after 19 years. Graduated from Winston-Salem State. So he right after a game went down there. So
Which I don't understand why he didn't graduate from Georgia Tech
we went to Wake Forest.
or Wake
Common
Forest.
misconception. No, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting. The Bucks will get Joe Ingles. I guess just get Joe Ingles, but back because it was as even ever. I don't think he's ever played for them. It was just a trade from the Jazz
Correct.
after ACL rehab. So
And this was supposed to be he was supposed to be back Monday, so he should have already been playing.
yeah, so a good addition. Shooter, veteran.
Yeah. After his ACL rehab.
Yeah. Anthony Davis, shocking. He's hurt again. He's going to miss multiple weeks with an ankle injury. I thought I read foot, but either way, not surprising.
I was laughing when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, every year, multiple times a year. And he's probably playing the best basketball of his career the last week. And then he gets hurt. So brutal. And then I wanted to add this the Phoenix Suns, it's not official, but it's looking like it's going to happen. Woj reported it, Shams reported it. So most of the time that means it's going to happen. The Phoenix Suns sold to billionaire mortgage lender Matt Ishbia for $4 billion. This is he bought the United Wholesale Mortgage from his father, who started in 1986. He was a walk-on at Michigan State under Izzo in 2000, went to 3 Final Fours and won a national championship, so he's a part of that team. Yeah, and it seems like he wants to win. He's a winner. I think this is a good thing for the Suns, given the absolute disastrous ownership tenure of Robert Sarver. So I think this is a great thing for the NBA. I think it's a great thing for the Suns, and hopefully it works out.
The Damian Lillard passes Clyde Drexler as the Blazers' leading or scoring leader. Over the weekend, you had Miami's guard Tyler Hero, first player to hit 9 threes on consecutive days.
That is
And in the second
impressive.
game, he ended up making 10.
What's the record? Doesn't Clay have the record, or Steph?
Yeah, one of them.
I think it's Clay, but I don't remember 3-point. Let's see. It is Clay Thompson 14, Zach LaVine and Steph Curry 13. Curry also made 12 in a game, tying him with Kobe and Danielle Marshall, because I remember that. So yeah, 14.
And then the Celtics got Robert Williams the third back as he makes his season debut.
He's an important piece of the 5 defensively, obviously, rim protector. Obviously, the Celtics have been really good without him, so getting him back's got to be big time.
Miami was fined $25,000 after listing all their players on the injured list.
Well, I think they were trolling somebody for some. I can't remember who they were trolling, but
well, they're paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of those things where you think about it and you're like, aren't they kind of screwing the daily fantasy owners over, or fantasy owners in general, just because you don't really know, because there's guys that are obviously hurt, but you don't really know who's hurt if everybody's on the injury report.
Yeah. Who's playing for the Heat tonight? Oh, their whole G League roster.
Yeah, it's funny, but then again, it's like, man, you might lose some people some money.
And then Jokic their day had an insane line, 40, 27, and 10 stat line, matches Wilt.
Well, anytime you could match Wilt, I would say that, that's an impressive thing. Say what you will about who he played against, Wilt that is, but Yeah, I mean, Jokic and Embiid are the standard when it comes to centers now, and it kind of changes the college game because how many centers in college have the capability that these guys do with the basketball in their hands, dribbling up the court, perimeter stuff, interior dominance? I just like we don't. It's a reason why Luka Garza, who was more closer to that than a Kofi Coburn was, but there's a reason that those guys aren't really tearing it up in the in the NBA. And I mean, you look at other centers in college basketball right now that probably aren't going to do anything in the NBA. Zach Edey, Oscar Tshiebwe, Drew Timme. I mean, it's a different game. And obviously Embiid did play in college, but there's a lot of injury issues early in his career, and he's healthy. Jokic is just dominant.
Yeah, then I saw a tweet about after this about everyone's forgetting about Timothy Mozgov's line where he had 93 points and 29 rebounds.
I'm familiar with the player.
It was also he played for the Nuggets. He doesn't play anymore.
Yeah.
But also a 7-1 center 6 years ago, or no, he played with the Rockets like 10 years ago versus the NBA now center doing this.
Well, you look at another guy who's tearing it up, a guy that you pretty much need a center that can dribble the ball and make plays. Those are the best ones. Like, look at what Bull's doing right now for the Magic. He's been dominating, and he's a kind of a do-it-all type. He's kind of playing the 4, but he's a big, 7'2" or whatever he is. So
yeah,
it's kind of why people thought Chet Holmgren would be as good as he is. Obviously, he's been hurt all year. But
yeah. And then right before we started recording, they said Popovich, Dirk Nowitzki, and Dwayne Wade among Hall of Fame nominees. And the Knicks lose a 2025 second-round pick for their whole Jalen Brunson signing probe.
Yeah, I don't think the Knicks are too concerned about that.
And
Not surprising that it came out, though.
Lastly, for Christmas, or for the NBA, you have the Christmas games. You have the 76ers at the Knicks at noon, the Lakers at the Mavericks at 2:30, Bucks at Celtics at 5, Grizzlies at Warriors at 8, and then lastly, Suns at Nuggets at 10:30. Those are all Eastern time.
Boston Celtics.
Yeah, well, I'll say this about the Christmas games. Obviously, the NFL is kind of the last couple of years kind of maybe taken over a little bit.
Yeah, this year they only have 3 Christmas games, though. The rest are on Saturday.
Yeah, not surprising that they did that. They definitely could. If they tried to hijack the entire Christmas day, it'd be a real problem, I think. But, the NFL trying to pick their spots. But the NBA slate, not bad. I mean, you have games where I think people are definitely going to tune in. Obviously, the Knicks game every time at 11 a.m. is kind of like a tradition.
People
Bucks
will
Celtics is obviously the big one.
People will probably tune in to the Lakers-Mavs game.
Yeah, I think Luka's probably going to have 50 in that game. Grizzlies Warriors probably doesn't hit as much given the fact that the Warriors are
without Steph.
Yeah, not good.
Suns Nuggets. I mean, that game's gonna be at 9:30. So
you're probably watching a Suns team that blew it last night, but they've been playing. They won a couple games, 3 games in a row before.
That's
lost last night.
That's one getting switched over to after the Sunday night football game's over.
Yeah, and I think you're probably going to see Chris Paul out. He got hurt last night. You could see Booker out. He didn't play last night, so you could have some injuries in that game, but we'll see. Let's go to the NFL now.
This was before last week's game. Steelers wide receiver Deontay Johnson said last Thursday, if Pickett can't start, he wants Mason Rudolph to be the starter. Obviously, didn't happen.
Didn't seem to hurt him too much against Carolina.
No. Surprised that didn't see him cut or something or binged.
Yeah, well, what can you do? All right, let's recap Week 15.
You Thursday Night Football, you had the Niners beat the Seahawks 21-13. Niners clinched the NFC West. Christian McCaffrey has shown to be the best trade of the year.
Yeah, the only really skepticism with the trade was what the Niners were giving up given the injury history of McCaffrey. And I think it's really going to be on display, like, if they have to go to Philadelphia in the NFC title game, cold weather game, how's he going to respond and play in that? I think he'll be fine if he's healthy. But you're getting McCaffrey in a coach's hands like Shanahan, who knows how to use him. And that's why Kyle Shanahan, I think, right now, if I had to pick a coach to have as, running my team, I would probably pick him right now. So,
hey, early in the season, you said you thought he might be on the hot seat.
well, you have that roster and you have the expectations and you start off a little bit slow. I figured that they would probably figure it out because of what I think, how good Shanahan is overall. And they have. So I think they're the second best team in the league right now, but that's just me. I think Cincinnati might be making a bid for that as well. All right, Saturday games. The Vikings beat the Colts 39-36. Colts blow a 33-point lead as the Vikings come back and they clinch the NFC North. So the Super Bowl has been won for the Vikings. They clinched the division. Congratulations. The Colts suck. This was an incredible comeback, though, no doubt.
Yeah, 33-0 at halftime.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. Great teams don't go down 33-0 at home at halftime to bad teams, but they won, so I can't really say that.
They scored 22 in the fourth. It was like 22-0 in the fourth.
That sounds right, yeah.
And then 17-3 in the third.
Yep, I don't think that the Colts can justify having Jeff Saturday as their full-time head coach after this.
Which fantasy luckily ended up winning because of the Packers defense.
Yep.
But at halftime of this, I'm like, great, Kirk Cousins hasn't done anything. That's who I'm playing against. And then the second half comes, and I'm like, oh.
Yep, they turned it on. Well, yeah, I still don't buy the Vikings, but whatever.
And then the Browns beat the Ravens 13-3. Browns stink, but get a win over Ravens in a snooze fest. I mean, Ravens don't look very good with Huntley at quarterback. They also lost Devin Duvernay, but they did sign Sammy Watkins after Green Bay released him.
Sammy Watkins is just nothing anymore.
Well, at least he's been there and knows their offense, so they have a guy who's familiar with their offense with Duvernay going on the IR.
Sammy Watkins' last and one of his only moments as a Packer was having a great block on Christian Watson's jet sweep touchdown in Chicago. So there you go. Very forgettable tenure, but we'll see if he's maybe a little bit better in Baltimore. I don't know. He'll probably be used more.
The Saturday night game.
Yeah, Bills beat the Dolphins 32-29. Kind of looked like maybe Singletary was maybe going to screw his team over there by not just scoring the touchdown in those conditions, having Bass come out and still try to kick the field goal. Because it would have been, having a touchdown, you got a 36-29 lead with like 40 seconds left. In those conditions, you're probably going to win anyway. But Singletary slid down, and then, the Bills get the win anyway. Beautiful winter weather game. Bills finish the Dolphins off. The Dolphins struggling a little bit, but I have a sneaking suspicion they'll be getting back on track Sunday, okay?
Yeah, Tua still doesn't look the greatest.
No, probably battling some injuries. Teams maybe figuring out a little bit of how to stop him, so I don't know. Could be.
And then on the Sunday slate, you had the Eagles beat the Bears 25-20. Eagles almost threw this away, but win in a chilly and windy conditions.
Yeah, Hurts goes down. Well, he played the rest of this game, but now we know he's hurt. Probably not going to be playing Christmas Eve Saturday against the Cowboys, but kind of a trap game for a team that's 12-1 now, 13-1, where it's like you're going to Chicago, you're facing a bad team, you're facing a team that scored points recently, and their quarterback is difficult to play against.
They're burning back.
Well, yeah, he's a quarterback, but he primarily does run, yes. But the Bears defense, if they're able to get away with holding in the secondary, they can pretty much win games, I think, because they hold more than anybody I've ever seen, and they were getting away with it in this game.
I definitely didn't see Hurts was injured, and that's why the spread is what it is. And now I'm regretting making that pick.
I picked him too. I think Gardner Minshew can win a game, and I think the Eagles are just flat out a better football team.
I definitely didn't see that though. And in this game, they didn't run the ball much.
No, surprisingly, in the weather, very surprising. But they're capable of doing it.
Like Miles Sanders' first run was until 15 seconds left in the first.
Yeah, he didn't do much. Here's a nothing game. Saints beat the Falcons 21-18. Desmond Ridder, not great. Both teams stink. I mean, this is just I have zero interest in even talking about this game, to be honest.
The only thing this did was help the Bucs because the Falcons didn't gain a game on them.
Yeah, the Saints are terrible. The Falcons are terrible. It's just is what it is at this point.
The Lions beat the Jets 20-17. Lions keep it going. Jets are back to Wilson at quarterback.
Yeah, Zach Wilson had a really bad game. Like any of his big plays were, he had a wobbly throw that he just threw straight up in the air, putting the ball in danger constantly to Michael Carter on this play. And just receiver makes a play, that's it. Like Wilson didn't do anything in this game. He is just not. I don't know if they're not putting him in the right spots. It just doesn't look right. And the Lions, I'm still not of the belief that this is a good football team, but they are winning games, so you got to give them props. But they're also kind of ruining their future in some ways. But the Rams are helping their future in other ways, because if the Rams weren't so bad, the Lions wouldn't have a top 10 pick, and the Lions do not have the talent to not have it. Like, they need to have a top 10 pick or somewhere around there. And I also wonder what this does to the future of Jared Goff. Like, is he going to be the guy going forward? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's very prisoner of the moment with all these takes in the Lions right now. Like, if they get in the playoffs, they're not beating anybody. So I don't know why people think that they are. Like, You're telling me that the Lions are going to beat the Niners in the playoffs? There's 0% chance.
No, you just never know.
With the Lions, it's just not going to happen.
The Goff thing will probably all depend on what's left on his contract, how many years. Like, if he's got a year or two left, you could see them drafting a quarterback and sitting him.
Well, until like 4 weeks ago, it was all about them taking C.J. Stroud with the Rams pick. But I don't know if that's going to happen now. Goff has there's a potential out in 2023 with the dead cap only being $10 million, but they could get out of it next year if they wanted to. But if they don't, it runs 2023 and 2024. With a cap hit of 31 this year, 30 next year, and 31 in 2024. So if they want to get out of it, they can, but I don't know if they will. Steelers beat the Panthers 24-16. The Steelers defense holds on, and another boring game, really. Not much going on in this game. Trubisky wasn't too bad. Darnold didn't seem that bad, and the Steelers win.
Yeah, thank God Deontay Foreman didn't do anything.
Yep.
The Jags beat the Cowboys 40-34. Jags were in a shootout. Trevor Lawrence is looking good.
Yeah, starting to figure it out a little bit.
So is Zay Jones.
Yeah.
Big 3-touchdown day.
With this draft, you had Zach Wilson, you had Mac Jones, you had Trevor Lawrence, you had Justin Fields. I still think at the end of the day, Lawrence is going to be the best out of them all, and he's starting to look like the guy in the draft, like as a quarterback. Like, I think Fields overall has been the most productive and the best, but Mac Jones, not so good this year. Of course, the problem for Mac Jones is that he has a moron calling plays for him. Like, Matt Patricia should not be anywhere near an offensive coordinator position.
He used to be their defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Then he goes to coach the Lions, gets booted out of there, and now he's an offensive coordinator.
You pretty much have Matt Patricia and Joe Judge running your offense. It's an absolute train wreck. I don't know why Bill thought that would work out.
Like, hey, I'm going to get a guy who's been a defensive mind his whole mind. I'm going to flip him around and be like, hey, everything you've wanted to guard against, go on that.
Ridiculous.
And in the Patriots, their running backs, it's like a carousel. Stevenson's hurt, and then Damian Harris is hurt, and then so-and-so's hurt.
Yeah, and then, this game ended in electric fashion with Dak throwing a pick six in overtime. Props to the Jags, getting it done.
And they've got two pretty good tight ends that they rarely use. And Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry.
Yeah, that's true as well with the Patriots. This year especially, like, they were using Hunter Henry a lot last year. Things have changed, obviously. McDaniel's out. They should have gotten a real offensive coordinator to run the offense. I don't understand what they were doing. Pretty much ruining Mac's career in a lot of ways. Chiefs beat the Texans 30-24 in overtime. Second row in a week for the Texans, playing decent football, not bad football. But Mahomes was, excellent in this game. For this game to go to overtime when Mahomes goes 36 of 41 for 336 and 2 touchdowns, that's, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. And then you had the Broncos beat the Cardinals 24-15. Cardinals are officially dead, and the Broncos defense was what won them the game.
Yeah, Colt McCoy goes down. Trace McSorley comes in. Yeah, this was another game I didn't really pay attention to.
I was paying attention to this because the guy I was playing in fantasy had the Broncos defense.
Well,
and what happened to my pen?
Yeah, I don't know.
There it is.
Let's see. We got
Bengals.
Bengals beat the Bucks 34-23. Bengals are rolling. Seemed like all hell broke loose on offense for the Bucks after they took a 17-6 lead. You had what? A couple fumbles. Brady threw a pick.
Yeah, he threw one was deflected. He threw one. He fumbled another one, and then they handed off to Fournette. Well, the handoff never got to Fournette. I don't know who actually ended up getting charged with that fumble. But they were like, the fumbles were on back-to-back drives.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, and it kind of shows that just like the NFC South, I mean, I think the Bucks could probably beat the Cowboys in the playoffs just because of the way the Cowboys play in the playoffs, but whoever gets out of this is not in a good spot. Like, it's kind of one of those – there's always a division where everyone complains that there shouldn't be division winners or there shouldn't be divisions, I guess, but yeah.
You had the Raiders beat the Patriots 30-24. Talk about a Christmas miracle. What were the Patriots thinking? Stevenson pitches it back. Jacoby Myers.
I think it was.
He throws a 30-yard pitch right to Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones stiff arms Mac Jones into the turf and says, "See you later."
Yeah. I don't know if it was what were the Patriots thinking. I think it was what was Ramondre Stevenson thinking, because you're running a draw. Why would he turn that into a lateral and throw that back? And then obviously,
yeah, what was Jacoby Myers thinking throwing that ball?
The blame poll, I think, goes number 1, Ramondre Stevenson, number 2, Jacoby Myers. And then after that, it's number 3. It's I feel bad for Mac Jones getting absolutely punked right when Chandler Jones caught it.
Who everyone, is hating on it. In the last 2-3 weeks, he's actually turned it around.
True. But, I mean, just an all-time loss in football, no doubt. And I didn't think Bill Belichick would be in the losing end of one of those.
Thank God Darren Waller's back.
He's getting it going, no doubt. Darren Waller is a former future Green Bay Packer, because I thought that they might trade for him in the offseason.
They run the scene play after the announcers talk about it. They call a timeout or there's a penalty. They run the same exact play and he gets a touchdown.
That'll work. All right. Chargers beat the Titans 17-14. Tight defensive battle. Chargers get the win. 3 interceptions between Tannehill, who had 1, and Herbert, who had 2. Not a typical game for either of these teams, really. More so the Titans. More typical for the Titans to have this low scoring of a game. But Herbert.
And Tannehill was even carted off at one point.
Yeah.
And then came back.
Yeah. Well, Malik Willis didn't seem to do very much in his, time either.
No, I mean, Tannehill I thought he was going to be out for the way his ankle got ruled up on.
That's true, yeah.
And then when they carted him off, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's for sure out. And the next thing you know, he's back. I'm like, oh. Must have really shot him up or taped him up pretty good.
Modern football, modern technology, the whole bit.
And then Sunday Night Football, you had the Giants beat the Commanders 20-12. Giants make it possible for 3 teams from the NFC East to make the playoffs.
I have 2 problems with this game. Number 1, what is the referee doing when he sits there and tells Terry McLaurin that he's okay, lined up, all good, and then throws a flag?
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all.
Which hurt me as a Brian Robinson fantasy guy.
Yes. Number 2, it's not exactly I'm not exactly a person who usually complains about the end of game officiating or the last play of the game or the last play of that drive, but that is a blatant defensive pass interference from Darnay Holmes. Like, blatant. If it's that bad, I usually like, the refs to stay out of it late. But when it's that blatant, I think you have to make the call, and they didn't, and the Giants win. And I mean, Daniel Jones is probably going to get an extension. Like, I don't think he's going to get like a Deshaun Watson extension, but he's probably going to get a 3 or 4 year deal, and it's going to be 20-25 mil a year. Like, he's playing well. He's the Jimmy G type where you don't need a star quarterback. You just need a team around you to win games, and you have to have a quarterback that can manage the game and not turn the ball over. And Daniel Jones has done that all season.
You just hand off Saquon. You throw it every once in a while for 5 yards. You hand it back to Saquon. You throw it once again for a couple yards.
Yeah, and Saquon's another guy that needs a contract as well. I'm assuming he could be a franchise tag guy, but
and then you take a deep shot when needed. When you get a receiver.
Think about that too. Daniel Jones has played well. He is throwing the ball to nobody. Like, Kenny Golladay stinks. Sterling Shepard's hurt. Wan'Dale Robinson is a promising player, but he hasn't been healthy a lot of the season.
Who's the one guy they throw to? Richie James?
Richie James, and then they have Isaiah Hodgkins, I believe, who got some work in this game, and then Darius Slayton is pretty much their number one. So, and they don't. I mean, Bellinger, the tight end's not great. So the fact that he's doing this in an offensive line that's not that good either, Daniel Jones might be having the most underrated season in football, just because he's like, I know that it's on brand for him to be underrated because he's kind of like an unassuming, weird, quirky type, guy, similar to Eli Manning. So I don't think that people are going to be hyping Daniel Jones up, but he's playing pretty well. So I think the point's got to be made about that. Monday Night Football, the Packers beat the Rams 24-12. Should have been 31. I don't know what that sportsmanship BS was on the 1 yard line. Just punched it in. I don't give a damn. But the Packers defense gets after a battered Rams offense. They had 5 sacks, 9 QB hits, a pick, should have been 2 picks, and 6 tackles for loss. Helped you out.
Yeah. Going in, I was up or down like 6. He had Mason Crosby and I had the Packers defense. So every time I'm like, come on, get a touchdown, Green Bay, because I don't want to get a field goal.
Well, Quay Walker was like 2 inches away from a defensive touchdown, which really would have helped you out.
Mm-hmm.
But, I also want to add this. Keshawn Nixon had 3 kick returns for 95 yards. That is extremely rare for a Packers returner because they just rolled Amari Rodgers out there for half the season and he would do either absolutely nothing or fumble it. So the fact that it took this long to realize that Keshawn Nixon is a guy to return, because he was good on punt returns too, very rare. Of course, the Packers do nothing with his big returns, but that's neither here nor there.
One of their best returners was Randall Cobb, or more or less whoever that special teams coach was who found that rule where if you stood out of bounds and grabbed the ball, you got it 40 because the ball is considered out of bounds.
True.
So whoever that special teams coordinator was, he was their best returner.
Yeah, very true.
And then sad news, you had the Steelers Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris pass at the age of 72.
Legendary player, legendary person, it appears, from everything that I've read.
And then you have the legendary play, the Immaculate Conception.
Yep. Sad news. Thoughts with his family and the Steelers, and not good. Right before the holidays, too.
Yeah. And then the Colts to bench Matt Ryan to start Nick Foles against the Chargers.
I think a lot of people's response to this was the Colts had Nick Foles this entire time. Not like Nick Foles is any good, but yeah.
Yeah, like you're telling me you sat or didn't even sit Ryan. You put him in street clothes and you had Sam Bellinger playing or Ellinger playing over Nick Foles.
Also, you had a situation where you have a guy who blew a 28-3 lead to Tom Brady to a guy that beat Tom Brady. Was that the next year that the Eagles, or was it the year before? No, okay. I think it was the Patriots beat the Falcons, then the Eagles beat the Patriots the next year, and then the Patriots beat the Rams, right? Was it 3 in a row like that?
Maybe.
I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. It had to be 2017 was the season when the Eagles beat the Patriots. I think 2016 was the season, Super Bowl 51, when the Falcons blew the 28-3 lead.
Yeah.
Which I still think that that's the crazier of the blown leads, 28-3 in the Super Bowl versus the Colts blowing that lead, but that's just me. And it's not because the Vikings did it, even though I don't want to give the Vikings any credit for anything because I hate them. So there you go. I just like their fans more than the team, just for the record. As I alluded to earlier, Colt McCoy is out. Trace McSorley will get his first NFL start. I can't remember who Arizona is playing this week, but it doesn't really matter.
Arizona is playing Tampa Sunday Night Football.
I remember now, yeah. So, yeah. Well, a freebie. If you're Carolina, you're probably annoyed at that the Bucks are. Well, I mean, the Bucks. I mean, they could lose. I guess. I don't know. If they had Colt McCoy, I think the Cardinals could beat them, but I would doubt it. I don't think Trace McSorley is going to fare well against this Bucks defense. Just a thought.
No, you never know. He's got a little RPO style.
Well, he doesn't throw like Joe Burrow, and they don't have Jamar Chase, so I think that's going to be a big problem.
But I'm saying, when's the last time they went up against an RPO offense this year?
Didn't PJ Walker start against them for Carolina?
I don't know. But, I mean, you don't have much film on McSorley. You have whatever he displayed at the end of that Cardinals game, and then when he was in Baltimore.
Well,
and he only really came in there when Lamar Jackson had to go to the bathroom, and McSorley had to play like the entire fourth.
The difference is that the film doesn't really matter that much for some of these guys because, like, look at Bryce Perkins, the Rams quarterback in that game against the Chiefs. It's like the Chiefs didn't have any film on him, but also some of these older defensive coordinators or guys that run defenses, Todd Bowles.
They just played against Purdy, who's kind of an RPO guy. But Christian McCaffrey is a little bit different as well than James Conner.
Well, you look at teams that have beaten the Bucs and beaten the Bucs handily at times. You look at Carolina. They beat them 21-3, and Deontay Foreman had a ton of yards. McCaffrey dominated them. I didn't really pay attention to the running game last week for them, but teams that can run the ball against them usually – because, like, it's hard to run against them, but if you're able to run against them, I feel like it's going to be hard for the Bucs to win those games.
And your offensive line has to help, and Arizona's offensive line hasn't been playing very well at all.
No, that's true. All right, let's go over to the golf.
You had the PNC over the weekend. All the hype around the Woods, and then Charlie Woods has a left ankle injury, which one of our buddies, and he's been on the show before, said flops around just like his dad.
That is true, no doubt.
You had the Dailies both did play. John Daly Jr. was playing because I guess there is no age thing. I just wondered if he would be able to because of college.
I also wonder if,
but there's no money on the line, so I'm pretty sure that's why he's able to play in it.
Yeah.
But you had Vijay Singh and his son Cass win finally in their 16th attempt playing together. Cass is now 32, so he's been playing with Vijay in this since he was 16.
Well, there you go. Got the win. There you go.
They shot 26 under.
Yep. I mean, Tiger played really well in this, I will say. Given the expectations, given how he played in the match, he played well.
I do think it's not unfair. I mean, Charlie Woods is like 13 or something, and he was playing from the same tee box as John Daly.
He does crush the ball, I will say that.
But he was only one box up from Tiger.
That's true.
He moved back two boxes from last year.
Yeah.
And then you had, was it Lee Trevino?
Yep.
Complimenting Nelly Corda, saying that the PGA pros should be glad that there's an LPGA. If not, she'd be winning. He said she has like the purest swing he's ever seen.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. No doubt. It's definitely up there.
And then the next tournament you don't have till January 5th, which is the Century Tournament Champions.
Yep. All right, let's go to college basketball. Before we get into the top 25, I think the biggest upset in the history, given the spread in college basketball today, where Eastern Illinois, who's a 31.5-point dog at Iowa, beat Iowa 92-83. So, that's a loss that's gonna be hard to recover from if you're Iowa, because when you come to March, if Iowa's on the bubble, a quad 4 loss to Eastern Illinois at home is gonna hurt them.
Probably Eastern Illinois' biggest win probably in school history.
Probably so, yeah. Just a really, really tough.
Without
tough
really
one.
knowing their, other big key wins. Got to be up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, this is a bad one. This is an Eastern Illinois team that is like really, really bad.
I mean, they're known for producing one or two quarterbacks,
2 quarterbacks, yeah.
and a head coach.
Yep. Eastern Illinois 348th overall team on
Who's the second one?
KenPom.com. Garoppolo and Romo.
Oh yeah. Man, imagine. Probably can't discuss that on here. Well, I'll tell you about it after.
Fair. 354th ranked offense for Eastern Illinois. This is an Eastern Illinois team that lost to Illinois by 30. They lost to Ohio State by 22. They lost to a bad Northern Illinois team by 20. They lost to a Ball State team that's decent by 17. They're 4-9 now, and they beat Iowa. So it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. But Iowa, this is going to be a tough one to recover from because they now have losses to them. They lost to a Wisconsin team that's somewhere in the middle of the Big Ten. They lost to TCU, who's decent by 13. But this is a tough one for Iowa.
Hey, TCU's ranked now.
Yeah, they are good. They coming into the season, people were high on them too.
But the top 25, you got Purdue State's put at 1, UConn up 1 number 2, Houston up 2-3, Kansas up 4-4, and Arizona up 4-5.
You had Virginia up or down 4-6. They lost to Miami after this. Before that, they lost to Houston. Texas stays at 7. Tennessee up down 2-8. Alabama down 5-9, and Arkansas stays at 10.
Gonzaga up 4-11. Baylor down 1-12. UCLA up 3-13. Duke down 2-14. No, they didn't play that week, and they're going to probably drop after losing the other day.
Yep.
And Mississippi State up 2-15.
Illinois is up 2-16. Wisconsin up 5-17. Indiana down 4-18. Kentucky down 6-19. TCU up 1-20.
Virginia Tech up 3-21. Miami up 3-22. Auburn down 4-23. Marquette at 24 for being unranked, and Arizona State at 25 to being unranked. And then you had a girl, Iowa's Caitlin Clark, tied Elena Deladon to fastest 2,000 points in women's college hoops, and only her 75th game. She now has 2,013 points as just getting into her junior year.
I mean, that's a lot.
The highest is Kelsey Plum of Washington with like 3,800 points. So if she stays off 4 years, could definitely pass that.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, she's going to end this game or this year over 2,500.
Yep, that's safe to say. I would say, very impressive. This is a really bad poll, by the way. This top 25 is terrible. I don't even want to get into how stupid it is, but it's a bad one. I will say that they didn't do a good job.
I laughed at Duke drop 2 without playing.
Well, it's just like it's one of those things where UConn is the best team in the country. They should be number 1. I don't care that Purdue hasn't lost. The results and the metrics are all clear. They refuse to move somebody off number 1 unless they lose, which is just stupid. And then Illinois played horribly against Alabama A&M. The fact they go up 2 after staying put in the same week where they did lose, but they also beat Texas. So if you're going to go up at any point by a spot or 2, you should go up on that week instead of a week where you have a 9-minute scoring drought and barely beat Alabama A&M at home. Wisconsin up 5 is just like, why? I mean, Wisconsin, they're 2-0 in the Big Ten, great, but they beat Lehigh in the week for this poll, and they went up 5 spots.
Probably just from what we talked about, how many teams are bouncing up and down.
Yeah, that's probably fair, and they were literally down at the half to Lehigh.
Kentucky's probably played a nobody yesterday, and they'll play and then that's it. And they'll go from 19 after just dropping 6 and then bump up 8 spots because they're Kentucky.
Well, the other thing with that is Kentucky, why are they dropping 6 spots after losing to UCLA? They lost to UCLA.
Yeah, but how many losses is that now for him?
They have 3 losses, but they hadn't lost. They'd won 4 straight going into that game. So
Against who, though?
Michigan, Yale, and then a couple of easier ones against Bellarmine and North Florida.
Well, and Yale.
Well, yeah, Yale's top 80 team in the country, though.
But I'm just saying, you beat Yale, and then those other 2 turds, and then
but you can't drop
UCLA.
6 spots for losing to UCLA after you won 4 in a row. Like if it's 2 losses in a row, I understand, but just the poll doesn't make any sense to me. But it doesn't really matter that much at the end of the day, anyway. So we can move along to MLB, Major League Baseball.
Which, before we get into that, I had a couple of pictures of baseball. You now have the Dodgers' potential starting rotation as Urias, Kershaw, Gonsolin, Dustin May, Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah,
Not in any specific order.
We have Walker Buehler hurt, probably won't pitch next season. So if he was there, it'd be a little bit different.
Yeah, probably Dustin May would be out of that.
Probably trade him to the Cardinals.
If he could stay healthy.
True.
And then you had the most walk-offs since MLB went to 30 teams in 98. Who do you think has the most walk-off wins?
Colorado Rockies.
Oakland.
I was pretty close.
220. Rockies are at 169. Cardinals have 171. Next closest after Oakland is Philly with 189. And then yesterday marked 5 years since Evan Longoria was traded to the Giants. He put up a 6.9 WAR in those 5 years as a Giant of a contract he had signed with the Rays. The Rays got 43 games out of Denard Span, 36 out of Christian Arroyo, and 2 minor leaguers. So the Giants won in that trade.
Yeah, I mean yeah.
Like, thanks, Rays, for paying part of my contract, and then I'll put up a 6.9 WAR.
Yeah.
But you had the Yankees sign Carlos Rodon, 6-year, $162 million deal. The Cubs land second base shortstop Dansby Swanson, 7 years, $177 million deal. Dodgers signed DH JD Martinez to a 1-year, $10 million deal. And then the Angels get a pretty good player here for cheap, the 2022 breakout player of the year, utility Brendan Drury, 2 years, $17 million.
Biggest takeaway for me would be I think JD Martinez is going to have a big season with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Cubs, didn't overpay for Dansby Swanson, but I'm very comfortable knowing that the Cardinals didn't do that. I'll say that. Because $25 million a year for a shortstop that's probably not even top 5 or 6 or 7 in the league. Maybe 6 or 7.
But all he's done is win. We discussed this, how he went from
That's true. I guess.
making it to the College World Series twice, winning once, and then winning every year in the MLB, or winning their division and winning a World Series.
Yeah. He's a winner.
But that Brandon Drury, last year he played all 4 spots in the infield and played right field.
I could also see him going to the Angels and sucking, though. I will be honest. I can see that happening.
I mean, he's young. He's just he won the breakout player of the year.
It's a good bargain signing.
That's for $8.5 million.
Yeah, I would make that deal.
For a guy can play for all 4 spots in the infield or play the outfield.
Yeah, I agree. The White Sox pick up Benintendi, 5 years, $75 million. Twins signed Joey Gallo, 1 year, $11 million. Red Sox signed third baseman Justin Turner, 2 years, $22 million. And in a shocking turn of events, Carlos Correa signs with the Mets, 12 years, $315 million. He's going to play third base.
Which before this, it was Correa to the Giants. Then there was the question of where are they going to put Brandon Crawford? Are they moving him to third?
He was going to go to third, yeah.
He told he asked, it was a former player was on his podcast. He texted Crawford during the podcast, and he asked the guy if he had any extra third baseman mitts he could borrow.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Mets swoop in after a disagreement, some sort of issue with Correa's physical, an old injury. The Mets come in, they get it done. And you look at top team spending over the last 3 off seasons per Spotrac.
And when they said 1 year off of the Giants contract and $15 million, right? It was 13 for 330.
Let me check.
Yeah, I think it's 1 year less than 15 million. Or was it 350?
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 13 years.
I think it was 13, maybe 350.
13, 350, yeah.
So they saved a year and 35 million.
Yeah. But top team spending over the last 3 off seasons. Mets number 1 with $1.6 billion. Yankees number 2 with $833 million. Rangers number 3 with $830 million. Padres 4 with $824 million. Phillies 5th with $794 million. Blue Jays 6th with $600 million. Dodgers 7th with $584 million. Cubs 8th with $479 million. Astros 9th with $404 million, and the Twins 10th at $355 million. So the Mets getting it done.
I can't believe the Dodgers are that low on that list. And Houston's at only 4-4 and won how many titles in the last 5 years?
They've won 2 in the last 5. They've been to 4, I believe.
And have only spent the 9th most money.
Yeah.
When's the last time the Yankees made a World Series and spent that much money?
2009. Mets haven't been since 80. Didn't they have it? No, it was the 86 Mets, right? Yeah. Rangers haven't been since 2011. Padres haven't ever been. Phillies were in it last season. Blue Jays haven't been since 92, 93, somewhere around there. Dodgers were in it in 2020. Cubs 2016. Astros this season. And the Twins, no. All right. Over to the NHL real quick here. Defenseman Artem Zub signs a 4-year extension with the Senators, $4.6 million per year, getting up a locked-up defenseman there. Locking up a defenseman is really what I wanted to say, but it didn't come out properly, and now it does. But they get that deal done, get him on the back end, top 4, solid option, good value, nothing really else for me to add there. NHL stat leaders through December 20th. You had the points leader, Connor McDavid, 64. Goals, Connor McDavid, 28. Assists, Jesus, Connor McDavid, 36. Wins, it's back for Ullmark of the Bruins at 18. And he also leads with save percentage at 937. The Bruins lead team points, 25, 4-2, 52 points. The Devils are starting to fade, so I think they're winless in 5 in a row. So Bruins taking back over, but give it time. I think somebody will emerge against Carolina.
19 home wins start the year.
It's a lot, yeah. But Carolina is the closest right now to him. Carolina and Toronto are 6 points behind Boston. So,
I mean, they're gonna fade at some point.
Who? Boston?
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, I think they will. I think the most impressive thing for me is their goal differential, plus 54, which nobody's even remotely close to that. Toronto's second at plus 28.
And then look at who's leading them in points.
Let's take a look.
I mean, you know who it is.
Yeah.
But you can tell maybe it's something to do with him passing more.
22 assists, yeah.
And how many goals?
21.
Normally he's not that high in assists.
Well, he had a 3-year stretch with 40-plus assists. 18, 19, and 20. He had 45, 43, 47. Then the shortened season, he had 28. Last season, he had 37. He's going to have 40-plus this season. He's picking it up. He's also in a contract year. So with how good the Bruins have been, I'm very curious to see how they handle that. Because I think if the Bruins were middle of the league right now, got into the playoffs, lost in the first, second round, I don't know if he would be coming back. And I still don't know.
But if you're losing Krejci and Berge after this year, I don't see him going anywhere. He's going to be the face of the franchise.
The problem with that is it's kind of going to be a transition phase anyway. Like, this is kind of the last year where, you got to see if you can get one last shot at it. I think the Bruins are always going to be going into some sort of mini rebuild, whatever you want to call it.
I know, but I just see him as the face of the franchise. Him and I just forgot their young defenseman.
McAvoy.
Yeah,
I could see that, but also if like New Jersey or Edmonton or some team like that comes calling, and
I don't know if you trade him into.
Number.
I don't think you trade him to like the Devils or anybody you're going to play in division.
Well, he's a free agent, so he could just leave. And also, the Bruins have been known, for the most part, to get players to sign hometown discounts, and I don't think that's going to happen with Pastrnak. I don't think it is. But
unless Krejci gets in his ear, another Czech guy, would be like, hey, you stay here.
Well, the most recent extension that wasn't a hometown discount was McAvoy at 9.5, which is still good value. It's just not as low as like them getting, Marchand at 6.1, Hall at 6, Coyle at, well, not even the Coyle deal. I wouldn't even consider that as a bargain, but Pastrnak at 6.6. So yeah, they like getting the discounts. I don't know if that's going to happen here though.
They're all for the team there.
Well, yeah. College football. Bo's back. Bo Nix returning to quarterback at Oregon again. Go Ducks. Easy money. Heisman next year.
I thought I had to put this in there for you when I saw the headline.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's back. Heisman winner next year.
Now you had a title. You had a top guy from high school that was going to go to Oregon, and after this came out, he changed his letter of intent somewhere else.
UCLA, yeah, but they flipped a guy, Nova Sad, from he's a 4-star QB. We're supposed to go to Baylor, and then he's going to Oregon. So they got a guy right behind Bo ready to go.
And then I did see Archie Manning did finally sign his letter to Texas.
Yep, big news there. There's questions about maybe he goes somewhere else at the last minute, but he's staying put.
Yep. Well, then people were saying, is he as high ranked as he is after his last loss in his stat line? I'm like, one game you think changes him as a whole player? Like he was this whole year, he was without his stud tight end, his 6'7" tight end. And does anybody remember that?
True. It's fair.
And his offensive line, if you were watching any of their highlights, he was always in the mix. He never had a safe pocket.
Not great.
And then my thing I put in college football is thoughts on guys entering the draft and not playing in bowl games. You have the wide receiver from Ohio State doing it.
Well, he's been dealing with injuries all season, so I understand that one if you don't want to come back, especially if he's going to be a first-round pick, which he will be.
I forgot the other big one I just saw.
I don't have too much of a problem with it. Especially if you're going to be a higher pick and, you're playing in a bowl that's not a big-time bowl, or if you're in the college football playoff and you're injured all season, I understand it. So not really something that I get too worried about or concerned.
Might have been a Bama guy or an LSU guy not playing in their bowl game. Or was it Bijan Robinson's not playing in his?
I don't remember. I haven't even looked. Maybe
he might have been the one I saw.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, that was the most recent one I saw that he wasn't playing in his bowl game. Which I don't remember who Texas is playing in their bowl game, but
I don't remember either. All right, let's finish this off here. Do the picks.
Went 11-7 last week. Man, did I wish I parlayed in my college basketball last week because I went 6-0.
True. I went 12-6. I miscalculated and put 10-6 for some reason, which I don't know why I did that. Forgot to add 2. 12-6. Yeah.
Has 1-1 NBA, 1-1 NHL, 6-0 in college hoops, and then 3-5 in the NFL.
I went, let's see, 5-3 in the NFL, 1-1 in the NHL, 2-0 in the NBA, 4-2 in college hoops. And now we have picks for this week.
Yeah, including we picked some bowl games.
Yep.
And our NCAA games, we had to, instead of Friday games, because there aren't any over the weekend, we had to pick on Tuesday.
Yep.
So NBA tonight, what do you got?
I will take the Celtics -10 against the Pacers and the Bucks +2 against the Cavs.
I got the Knicks -1.5 over the Raptors and the Magic -1 over the Rockets.
NHL.
I got the Kraken -120 over the Canucks and the Capitals -120 over the Senators.
I have the Oilers +125 at the Stars, and the Devils got to win again at some point. I'll take them +115 at the Panthers.
Tough team though.
Yeah, that's true. Let's do college hoops.
Thursday, I have Illinois over Mizzou in the bragging rights game. And then I have out of the Missouri Valley, I have Indiana State over Northern Illinois.
I'm taking Illinois over Mizzou as well. I don't feel great about this Illinois team right now, but I'm not picking them to lose to Missouri. I just won't do it. And I'll take Creighton over Butler. Creighton's been terrible, but you got to think they'd win at some point.
And in the Illinois game, I really wish my numbers hit. I don't remember what I picked, but I hope they hit.
Yeah, I don't remember what you picked either, but maybe they will.
It's high.
Yeah.
And a high-scoring affair.
I could see it.
Might have picked 88 over 73.
Could have, yeah.
Friday, Atlantic 10, I got George Mason over Coppin State. And then I have Rutgers over Bucknell.
Those are my picks as well.
And then Tuesday, I have Marquette over Seton Hall. And then out of the Atlantic Sun, I have Jacksonville State over Georgia Southwestern.
We almost had the same games again, but I have Seton Hall over Marquette in an upset. And I have Jacksonville over Notre Dame in an upset. How about that? Really just throwing everything out there on Tuesday. Let's do college football.
I got one Thursday bowl game. I got Baylor over Air Force in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. And
I have that as well.
Friday, I have Louisiana over Houston in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. And Wake Forest over Mizzou in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparillo Bowl. Do you have any before Monday? Because that's my next one.
I have Mizzou over Wake Forest, Baylor over Air Force. I don't even know the days on these. So,
well, the Wake Forest Mizzou game's Friday. The Baylor game's Thursday.
When is the? Because I also have San Diego State over Middle Tennessee.
Don't know that one.
And I have Wisconsin over Oklahoma State, East Carolina over Coastal Carolina. So that's where I'm at.
Monday, I have New Mexico State over Bowling Green in the Quicken Loans Bowl. Or Quick Lane Bowl. And Tuesday, I have Oklahoma State over Wisconsin in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
Yep, I have that as well.
But you have Wisconsin winning that, right?
Yeah, Wisconsin, yeah. All right, NFL Week 16.
Thursday Night Football, you have Jags at Jets. Jets are a 1.5-point favorite.
Oh, I hate picking this game, but you got to think Zach Wilson can win a game here. The Jets defense is really good. Home game, big game, cold weather game for the Jags. I'm taking the Jets.
I'm taking the Jags.
Jags going to be the hot pick. I'm going to go against the grain.
And then I got the Texans +3 over the Titans. Bengals -3 over the Patriots. Lions -3 over the Panthers. This is my Eagles +5 over the Cowboys. And the Raiders +2.5 over the Steelers.
All right. I'm going to take the Chiefs -10 over the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are about to finish the year horribly. I'm going to take the Bengals -3 at the Patriots. The Niners -7.5 against the Commanders. The Eagles +5 at the Cowboys, and the Rams +2.5 against the Broncos.
That'll be a close one. Aaron Donald might be back.
I would think that the Broncos suck, so I don't.
But
wanna
their
pick them.
defense is.
It is, yeah, but I don't know.
And
Home game.
is Russell going to be back, or is
I hope he is.
Sunday Night Football? You have the Bucks at Cardinals. Bucks 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks.
Yeah. Third string quarterback. Can the Bucks defense show up?
Yes, I mean their season is
that should
not
be
been
the
a
that
good
should be the that should be the title for this game.
Yeah.
And after we discussed Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards, he had like 93, so he's now like 102 away with 3 games left.
Getting close.
And Kelsey's right on his toes. He just got his 7th straight 1,000 yards. And then Monday Night Football, you have the Chargers at the Colts.
Chargers
-5.
Wish it was -50. I'd take the Chargers.
Such a trap game, I feel like.
Nope, Colts suck. There's like 4 teams this year that I would never pick, and it's the Broncos and the Colts. And that might actually just be the 2. I don't know.
I'll take the Chargers.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us. We'll be back after Christmas. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the whole deal, wherever you celebrate. We'll be back, though. We'll be back the 28th to discuss a lot more college football, I would expect, in that episode.
Yeah.
With the college football playoff being in between number 91 and 92 for our episode. So we'll see everybody next week on the 28th, and Merry Christmas.
Deuces.